Wonderful orchestral music by Ottorino Respighi from his Ancient Airs and Dances Suite Number 1. It's 1:30 on Bill's Classical Jukebox here at the New Classical 96.3 FM. Did you know that there are symphony orchestras performing Western classical music in places as far afield as Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Ghana, Uzbekistan, Chile, Mongolia? Simon Capet is on a mission to travel to such places to make music with these orchestras and produce a travel documentary music series around his experiences called Conducted Tours. And Simon's with us now. Welcome.
Well, hello, Bill. Nice to see you.
This sounds very, very exciting.
Thank you very much.
Where did the concept come from?
Well, the concept came from the fact, as a conductor, I'm always looking to find new doors to classical music for people who don't experience this wonderful music. And I was researching, I can't remember what I was researching now, but I discovered this orchestra in Sri Lanka, which is a country where my family have a personal background. My grandparents were tea planters in Sri Lanka. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be a wonderful excuse for me to go and visit this country where my grandparents lived by going to work with that orchestra? And then I started to look around, and as you've already listed, I found orchestras from Ecuador to Mongolia to Vietnam. I mean, I've now identified 57 different orchestras outside of Europe and North America. And then I started to think, well, why? Why have these orchestras? What does this music that I grew up with, being originally from England and now living here in Toronto, mean to people whose cultures are very differently, and how does it fit into their lives?
And how did they discover it? Is it the case of someone from the West, as we speak, to going there?
That's a fascinating question, because that was my immediate assumption. Being British, I thought, well, how much does imperialism play into this? But in fact, for example, the National Symphony Orchestra of Ghana, which is the orchestra I'm going to be making the pilot episode with, this orchestra started after independence, as did the Symphony Orchestra Sri Lanka. So that's one of the questions I'll be looking to answer on these journeys is why a symphony orchestra, or why a Western symphony orchestra? Now, personally, I believe it's because this music is universal, mm-hmm. and it's also great art, and like all great art, it speaks to all people, and music being the language of emotion.
I'm fond of telling anybody who will listen that there is a really good reason why this music's been around for 200 or 300 years.
That's right. And I think that some of the challenges we have today as far as people's connection to the music, it's not the music. It's the way in which it's presented, it's the trappings. And here, particularly in North America, because symphony orchestras were started by wealthy people in big cities saying, well, we're not a real city if we don't have a symphony orchestra. They had a very different beginning to their orchestras in Europe. And I'm assuming that orchestras in the countries I'm going to visit have a very different reason again for why they started.
Conducted Tours, this series, is not just about the music, though. It's about these people.
Thank you.
Give us an example of what this pilot's going to be like.
Well, exactly. When I go and visit one of these orchestras, we're preparing a concert for performance to raise money for a local charity. So, for example, in Ghana, we're raising money for their wonderful Street Kids Orchestra. They have a program that is designed to give children who are living on the streets access to education through fun, through making music. And these children don't just need to learn their 3 R's. They need to grow as people. They need to have confidence. They need to have self-esteem, and music is a wonderful way to do that. So when I'm not rehearsing for this concert, members of the orchestra become my hosts, and they take me, they show me their cities, their families. It's a travel show, so we experience culture, we experience music of all kinds, not just classical music. I'll eat a lot, we'll talk a lot, there'll be other things that we do. But as you know, Bill, when musicians get together and make music, we break down barriers of emotions very quickly. We play Brahms, we play Beethoven, we're speaking together on an emotional level. So very quickly we share stories in a way that, say, for example, Anthony Bourdain's show where he goes and travels and eats food. I love the show, mm-hmm. but it never really scratches much below the surface of that experience. And I truly believe that this way, through using music as a door, we can have wonderful, dramatic, emotional experiences and get to know people from other countries a little bit more deeply than a traditional travel show can do.
To produce such a show,
yes,
TV, web-based,
mm-hmm.
whatever, and you've chosen the web-based route,
mm-hmm.
takes funds.
Correct.
And you're offering a unique way for people to get very much involved by making a donation of sorts, and yet it's really not a donation, it's a prepayment.
Correct, yes. Well, basically, I'm asking people to kick me quite hard, all the way to Ghana, in fact. And what I mean by kicking me is there's a wonderful organization, web-based, called Kickstarter. And this is a form of crowdfunding. And crowdfunding is where hundreds and thousands of people give small amounts to make projects like mine happen. And these are not donations, as you said. We're asking people to give money from $10 to $1,000, and at each level you get something in return. That could be a download of the pilot episode, or a special DVD that has extras only for Kickstarter supporters, or it could be me writing a postcard to you personally from Ghana. If you look at the site, if you go to kicksimon.com, it'll take you to this page, and you'll see that at the various levels there are various gifts that you get in return for the pledge.
And how's it going so far?
It's going, I will be honest and say it's going slowly, but I'm an unknown entity, so of course it's going slowly. But people are responding wonderfully to the idea. I mean, it's an idea that's catching people's imaginations.
You caught the attention of a famous British actor, Stephen Fry.
The godly Mr. Stephen Fry, as I quoted, and I hope anybody will not take offense to this, because he does have more Twitter followers than God. We can safely say that. He's built up this following on Twitter over many years of wonderful work as an actor and writer.
5 million or something?
Nearly 5 million people. And he heard about conducted tours, was very impressed, and he reached out to his followers, which is huge. I mean, he's presently playing Malvolio in Twelfth Night, and he had one evening off last week. And in that one evening off, he actually had the presence of mind to remember this project and tweet on our behalf.
There's a great referral to the website, www.kicksimon.com. We don't have enough time to explore it in all the detail I'd like, but if people go there, they can hear and see the entire story.
Yes.
And hopefully get involved. I wish you all the best. And
Thank you,
come
Bill.
back and talk to us about the pilot when it's finally completed.
Oh, I will. Thank you.
All right. My guest, Simon Capet. The website again, kicksimon.com. Learn more, be a part of it.